The silent click picture this. A city hums in the cold. It is a modern Canadian metropolis, Toronto, perhaps, or Montreal. The skyline cuts a sharp, jagged edge against the gray November sky. Cars choke the highways. People stare at glowing rectangles. They stress over mortgages. They argue about interest rates. They complain about the price of a morning latte. The grid is alive. The system works. It is invisible, but it carries the heavy, continuous weight of millions of lives. In an apartment on the 4th floor, Mark sits at his kitchen island. He drinks tap water. He reads the news on his tablet. Anna ties her running shoes. She complains about the draft coming from the window. Everything is normal. Everything is painfully, beautifully mundane. The water stops. Then the electricity. Then the gas. It does not happen with a cinematic explosion. There is no mushroom cloud. There is no wailing siren. There is only a quiet, terrifying click. The hum of the refrigerator dies. The Wi-Fi router blinks out. The radiator ticks as it cools. At first, it is a novelty, an annoyance. Neighbors step into the hallway. They knock on doors. They joke. They ask if the breaker tripped. They wait for the utility company to send an alert. The alert never comes. The cell towers go dark. The silence rushes in to fill the void. It is a heavy, suffocating silence. The new reality now. Watch what happens. In 3 years, this building will be a hollow shell. The hardwood floors will be ripped up and burned for heat. The drywall will be stained black with soot. The stairwell will smell of bleach, human waste, and desperation. Mark will have a scar across his jaw from a fight over a rusted can of dog food. Ina will have aged a decade. Her hands will be calloused, stained with dirt and dried blood. Out of the 100 people living in this complex today, only 40 will remain. The rest will have fled, starved, or died from diseases that belong in the 19th century. The survivors will not be the strongest. They will not be the richest. They will be the ones who adapted. They will be the ones who unlearned their modern lives the fastest. 2 weeks into the blackout, the rules change entirely. The transition is brutal. It strips away every illusion of modern security. Before, wealth was an abstract concept. It was numbers on a screen. It was a diversified stock portfolio. It was a luxury SUV parked in a heated, subterranean garage. Today, the SUV is a tomb. It is a threatened paperweight. It cannot, Moby. It cannot keep them warm. Mark looks out the window. The streets are gridlocked with abandoned cars. Snow begins to fall. He folds the paper. He looks at Aina. They are called redefining wealth. The contrast is staggering. A week ago, they threw away half a loaf of bread because it was slightly stale. Today, they would kill for it. A week ago, they spent $100 on a dinner out. Today, a $100 bill is completely worthless. It is paper. You cannot eat it. It does not burn long enough to boil a cup of water. Real wealth has been redefined. Real wealth is a dozen BIC lighters. Real wealth is a bottle of rubbing alcohol. Real wealth is a roll of heavy-duty duct tape, 20 rounds of .22 caliber ammunition, and a hand-crank radio. A mechanical can opener is suddenly a crown jewel. An electric one is garbage. People cling to their old realities. They wait for the government. They wait for the trucks. They wait for rescue. They starve while waiting. The smart ones do not wait. They strip their homes. They tape black trash bags over the windows to trap body heat. They drag their mattresses into the smallest room. The myth of the lone wolf. There is a pervasive myth about survival. It is fed by Hollywood and internet forums. It is the myth of the lone wolf. It is the fantasy of the modern prepper. They imagine a man with a tactical vest, an assault rifle, and a bunker full of freeze-dried beef. They think survival is about shooting looters and defending a fortress. They think it is an action movie. There is no romance in any of it. There is only what worked. Consider the man on the first floor. His name was Brian. Brian was a prep. He had a generator. He had gasoline. He had an arsenal of firearms. When the lights went out, Brian locked his reinforced door. He refused to speak to the building. He sat on his hoard. He thought he was safe. 3 months later, Brian got a blister on his heel while chopping wood in the alley. The blister popped. It got dirty. It became infected. Sepsis set in. Brian had 1,000 rounds of ammunition, but he did not have a 10-cent course of antibiotics. He had no friends to scavenge for him. He had no allies to trade for him. Brian died in a freezing room full of guns, killed by a microscopic bacteria. Survival is not tactical. It is physiological. It is exhausting. It is grinding, soul-crushing. Labor. The daily grind every morning. Mark wakes up shivering. The apartment is barely above freezing. He does not check his phone. He grabs a plastic bucket. He walks down 4 flights of stairs. He walks 6 blocks to the river. He stands in line with 50 other gaunt, silent people. They do not speak. They chop a hole in the ice. They dip their buckets. Mark carries 40 pounds of freezing water back. His muscles scream. His hands bleed. This water is not safe. It is brown. It must be filtered through a ripped t-shirt and boiled for 10 minutes over a makeshift fire. If he skips this step, if they get dysentery, they lose fluids. If they lose fluids, they die. It is that simple. The margin for error is 0. Hygiene is the silent killer. No one talks about the toilets and the apocalypse movies. The plumbing is dead. The waste piles up. They dedicate a closet to buckets of waste. They dump it in the alley. The smell is a physical force. It coats the throat rats multiply. Fleas spread. Typhus returns. Aina trades her gold necklace, a family heirloom, to a man 3 blocks away. She does not trade it for food. She trades it for 2 bars of lye soap. It is the best trade she has ever made. Soap prevents infection. Soap keeps them alive. The winter is a predator. It hunts them every second of every day. They break apart the dining table. They smash the chairs. They rip the baseboards from the walls. Everything made of wood is fuel. They build a fire in a tin barrel by the open window. The smoke stains the ceiling black. They wear every piece of clothing they own. They sleep pressed together. Body heat is a currency. A warm blanket is a luxury beyond measure. Mark looks at the ash in the barrel. He remembers complaining about the thermostat being set to 68 degrees. It feels like a memory from another lifetime. It feels like a dream. The web of survival. But amidst the ash, amidst the freezing temperatures, a strange truth emerges. The lone wolves die. The isolated die. The selfish are targeted and killed. The survivors are the ones who form a web. This is where the undeniable, fierce spirit of the people reveals itself. The true Canadian resilience. It is not polite smiles at a coffee shop. It is a grim, determined solidarity. On the 2nd floor lives Maria. She is 65. She is a retired nurse. She cannot carry water. She cannot chop wood. In the old world, she was just an old woman living on a fixed pension. In T's world, she is a goddess. She knows how to set a broken bone. She knows how to clean a wound with boiled salt water. She knows which roots in the frozen park can be chewed for pain relief. Mark and Aina protect Maria. They bring her water. They bring her a portion of their scavenged rice. In return, Maria checks Mark's frostbitten toes. She saves his foot. Across the street is a mechanic named Tariq. He has tools. Real tools. He knows how to rig a car alternator to a bicycle to charge AA batteries. He builds a network. You want your radio powered. You bring Tariq a can of peaches. You bring Tariq a bundle of dry wood. They create a community of necessity. They hold meetings in the frozen lobby. They set up a neighborhood watch. They do not do this out of some noble utopian ideal. They do it because if they do not, they will all die. They realize that security is not a locked door. Security is the 10 people living around you. Security is knowing the man next door will yell if someone tries to break in. They share the misery. When a stray dog is caught, they share the meat. It sounds horrific. It is horrific. But hunger is a master that rewrites morality. You do not judge until you have starved for 6 days. You do not judge until you have watched a neighbor cry for a piece of bread that does not exist. There is no right or wrong anymore. There is only survival. There is only what worked. The psychological toll is heavy. Some people simply give up. They lie down in their beds, pull the covers over their heads, and never wake up. The mind breaks before the body does. But those who push through find a new rhythm. They strip away the fat of modern existence, the anxieties of the past career. Status. Social media vanish. They are replaced by sharp, immediate needs. Fire, water, calories, medicine. There is a terrible purity to it. Look around you. Years pass. The crisis slowly lifts, or perhaps it doesn't, and they just get used to it. The city is forever scarred. The people are forever changed. They will never look at a light switch the same way again. They will never let a faucet run without feeling a spike of anxiety. They will keep pantries full of canned goods until the day they die. Now, step back. Zoom out from the frozen streets. Step out of the cinematic frame. Turn the lens onto yourself. Look around you. Look at the room you are sitting in right now. Look at the screen you are reading this on. Look at your life. We live in a fragile bubble of convenience. We outsource our survival to corporations, to supply chains, to power grids that hang by a thread. We saw a glimpse of this fragility during the pandemic in 2020. We saw supermarket shelves stripped bare in hours. We saw panic over toilet paper. We saw how quickly the veneer of civilization cracks when the delivery trucks stop running. That was just a tremor. It was barely a ripple. Look at the staircase you live on. Look at your street. Look at your neighbors. Do you know their names? Do you know what they do? Who among them has tools? Who knows how to build a fire without a lighter? Who knows how to purify water? Who has a first aid kit and actually knows how to use it? If the grid failed tomorrow, what would you bring to the table? Are you the mechanic? Are you the nurse? Or are you the one sitting on a pile of useless digital wealth, waiting for a rescue that isn't coming? True wealth is not in your bank account. It is not in your crypto. It is in your skills. It is in your calluses. It is in the relationships you build with the people who occupy your immediate physical reality. The modern world tells us we do not need each other. We can order food with a tap. We can work from a screen. We can exist in isolation. But when the hum stops, when the lights go out, when the cold creeps in under the door, you will find that isolation is a death sentence. There are no lone heroes. There is no romantic wasteland. There is only the brutal, unforgiving math of calories and degrees. And there is the strength of the people standing beside you. Prepare your mind. Learn a skill. Meet your neighbor, because when the water stops, then the electricity, then the gas, you will only have each other.